This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, good morning. Are you able to hear me? Hello, good morning. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir, we are able to hear you.
Okay, let us start analytical view. Entire data is categorized into two parts, quantifiable and non-quantifiable. Quantifiable means amount, quantity, which we are able to quantify, like how much, how many, that is quantifiable. Example is transactional data, measure, measure. We also call in BW terminology, we call it as a cube. Non-quantifiable means attributes, master data. In BW terminology, we call it as a dimension. So we understood. Anyone can tell me what is attribute view? Attribute views are used to model the non-quantifiable data. Attribute views are used to model the master data. Attribute view is like a dimension in BW terminology. In attribute view, all the fields are called attributes. And coming to the in attribute view, how many types of attribute views are there? There are no types of attribute view, but there are three subtypes. They are standard, derived, and time. They are standard, derived, and time. Now coming to analytical view. Analytical views are used to model the quantifiable data. Analytical views are used to model the transactional data. In analytical view, all columns or fields called measures or attributes. So these are used to model the quantifiable data. Analytical view is like a cube in BW terminology. Analytical views are used to model the transactional data. Analytical views are used to model the quantifiable data. We also use analytical views to do the on-the-fly calculations and to do the aggregation. To do the on-the-fly calculations and to do the aggregation. It is also used to achieve star schema functionality. So star schema means if fact table is surrounded with dimensions. What is star schema? If fact table is surrounded with dimensions. For example, this is a fact table. If it is surrounded with dimensions, then we call star schema. First, let's say we have a VWAP table, which is sales order item table, has sales order number, customer number, material number, vendor number. All the vendor details are stored in LFA1. All the customer details are stored in KNA1. All the material details are stored in MARA. So if this is like this. So sales order item data linked with vendor, customer, material. We know this is transactional table and these are master tables. So this transactional table is called fact table and these master tables are called dimensions. So if fact table is surrounded with dimensions, it is called star schema functionality. So analytical views are used to model the star schema functionality. Now let us try to understand how to create analytical view and what is the prerequisite or mandatory to create analytical view. After that, we will try to understand what kind of aggregations will be there and how to create aggregations using analytical view. Okay, let's go to the system. So we are in the HANA modeling perspective in HANA Studio or Eclipse. We are in our package. So I'm going to create analytical view. So if you observe, do you think in analytical view we have any types or subtypes by looking at this? How many types or subtypes in analytical view? So in attribute view there are no types but there are three subtypes. We know that standard, derived type, but in analytical view there are no types and there are no subtypes. In analytical view, there are no types and there are no subtypes. If I click finish, here you see the default nodes are semantic, star join, data foundation, and this data foundation is embedded in the star join. Now we need to understand, because in attribute view the default nodes are semantics and data foundation. Now we need to understand, here we have the extra node star join in analytical view, and again in the star join this data foundation is embedded. Now what we need to understand is, in each node what can be used as a source and how many sources can be used. We need to understand this. So for that I'm going to our schema. I'm starting from table 1 in the data foundation. So we are able to use tables, and of course one or more than one can be used. In attribute view, anyone can tell me, in attribute view data foundation, what can be used as a source and how many sources can be used? In attribute view data foundation, in attribute view data foundation, what can be used as a source and how many sources can be used? Okay. In attribute to data foundation also, we can use tables as a source, and one or more than one can be used. Now, in the same way, let us check whether we can use attribute views, analytical views, and calculation views. I'm going to some other package. I'm trying to use attribute view here, so we are not able to use attribute view. Let me check also analytical view. We are not able to use. In calculation view, not able to. As a conclusion, in this data foundation, we can use tables as a source and one or more than one can be used. Same like attribute view data foundation. It is easy to remember because even in attribute view data foundation also, we can use tables as a source and one or more than one can be used. Let us check even in star join, what can be used as a source and how many sources can be used. We are not able to use the tables. Let us check from attribute views. Yes, attribute views we are able to use, but one or more than one can be used. Analytical views, we are not able to use. Calculation views, we are not able to use. So as a conclusion, in analytical view data foundation, we can use tables as a source. One or more than one can be used. It's same like attribute view data foundation. In this star join, we can use only attribute views. One or more than one can be used. Now let us create one analytical view by using simple data foundation. I'm going back to our package. Let me use any one of the table. Table 1. I am using only data foundation at the moment. I am not using star join and also multiple tables. Just to understand, is there any prerequisite or mandate to create analytical view? Select all the columns. See, we selected columns here, you see. And my question is, do you observe any difference for attribute view and analytical view by looking at semantics tab? Do you observe any difference between attribute view and analytical view by looking at semantics tab? Let me show you attribute view. Then maybe we can understand. I am going to attribute view and showing semantics. Now just observe. I am giving 1 or 2 minutes. Maybe have a look. Attribute view semantics. Then we will come back to analytical view semantics. Okay, so let me tell you, in the attribute view, in the semantics, you find only three tabs: columns, view properties, hierarchy. In analytical view, you have extra tab parameters and variable. That is one difference. And also in analytical view, you have aggregation, variable, semantic. You have this kind of column. But here you don't have aggregation variable and all. And the very important thing is whenever we create any attribute view and once you select any column, for example, if I select this column, here it is defaulted with the dimension symbol. At the same time, see here it is defaulted with this dimension symbol. And here you can see here auto assign is disabled, but in analytical view, even you select any column, here you don't have dimension symbol, and also here the type is not defaulted anything. And here auto assign is enabled. The main difference is what I am going to explain. In analytical view, when you select any column here, the type is not defaulted. Either you need to select either attribute or measure from this like this, or else if you click auto assign, it automatically assigns the type, whether it is attribute or measure based on the data type and data or something. That is the main difference. In attribute view, the type is defaulted with the dimension because all are attributes. It's an attribute view. So all are defaulted with attributes. But here, either you should select attribute or measure from this drop down. It is not defaulted anything. Or you can also use this auto assign. Now let me save and activate. Now there is an error. This is the error. Anyone can tell me what is the reason for this error and what may be the reason for this error and how to rectify? Any idea about this error at least? The error is saying no measure is defined, correct? It means that when we create analytical view, it is expecting at least one measure. When we create analytical view, it is expecting at least one measure should be there. So no measure is defined. When we create analytical view, the analytical view is expecting to have at least one measure. To have at least one measure. So what here this table doesn't have any measure. How can we know whether it is attribute or measure? Because if you see here, AB means attribute. For some fields you can see 1, 2, it is a measure. Let me take some table which has measure. For example, this is a table. See here, AB means attribute. 1, 2 means measure. I am selecting these columns here. You see here, and also in the semantic type, you see if I do auto assign, see all are assigned, and this is measure because it's a numeric field number. And once we save and activate, you can look now, it's an activated and we are preview the data. So what did we understand from this is the prerequisite or mandate to create analytical view is at least one measure should be identified. So the prerequisite or mandatory to create analytical view is at least one measure should be identified. Or at least one measure should be identified. So the prerequisite or mandatory to create analytical view is at least one measure should be identified. Is it clear now, everyone, what is analytical view, what nodes it contains, and in which node what source can be used? how to create analytical view and what is the prerequisite or mandatory to create analytical view. Till here, is it clear? I'm going to explain now how the aggregations are performed in analytical view. But before that, I want to check with you whatever we discussed. Is it clear? Any questions? Is it clear, everyone? Can I get response in the chat box?
Sir, this analytical view means it's quantitative.
Sorry, what's the question?
Analytical view means it's quantitable measurement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. If you have any quantifiable field, you use analytically. Okay. And it also contains attributes. It's a mix actually. You will come to know in the end actually. For example, if you have only master data, if you have only master data like LFA1, KNA1, MARA, you use attribute. If you have also some transactional data and master data mixed, then use analytically. It doesn't mean that you should use analytical view only. You can also use attribute view, but what is the importance of analytical view is it does the aggregation. Like I will explain now what are the aggregations and all. Okay. If you use transactional table in attribute view, it consider like a master data only. It doesn't do any aggregation. But if you use same in analytical view, it does aggregation. Okay. I will show you that practically. Just one moment. Okay. Now before discussing in the system, let me explain here. What I am saying, if you look at this analytical view, you can see here the aggregation sum default, but you also have count, maximum, minimum. These are the aggregations. Now we need to understand how these aggregations are performed in the system. I am giving one example now. Let's say this is a table or a data like employee number and expense amount. Employee number 1, expense amount 10 INR, for example. Employee number 1, he has some another expense amount 20 INR, for example. Employee number 1, if he has another expense amount 30 INR, for example. Employee number 2, if you have expense amount 10 INR, 20 INR, 3, 10 INR, 4, 20 INR. Let's say, imagine this is our data or a table. Now, let me tell you one thing how aggregations are performed. This is like amount, right? Quantifiable field. Here, if you have either amount or quantity or any quantifiable field, either any numeric field or integer field, means any measure is there. Whatever fields left side to this measure are considered as a composite primary key. Whatever fields left side to this field are considered as a composite primary key, and while displaying it in the output, it will display unique records by doing sum of the duplicate records if the sum is aggregation, by giving count of the records if count is the aggregation, and by finding maximum, and it will display maximum record corresponding to that record if maximum is the aggregation, same as well for minimum. So let me reiterate, if you have the data like this, whatever measure field is there, whatever quantifiable field is there, left side to that, left side fields to that are considered as a composite primary key, and it displays the unique records in the output by doing sum if sum is the aggregation, count is the aggregation, maximum value if maximum is the aggregation, minimum value if minimum is the aggregation. Now, according to my statement, can someone try if sum is the aggregation, what may be the output? Imagine sum is the aggregation here. If you look at my statement, what is the output? Can I reiterate? Can I explain again, or are you able to tell the output? Okay, at least listen to me. Yeah, someone already replied. Okay, but he already attended the classes, so I don't consider. See, what I am telling, this is the amount or quantity field. Left side to this field is considered as composite primary key, but here we have only one field, so it considered like a C.
Supply number is 60. That's the sum value. No?
So here 111 is repeated, so instead of showing multiple times, it will show only one. Because here the sum is the aggregation, so it finds the sum 10 plus 20 plus 30, that is 60. Same way here two times it displayed. Now 20 plus 10, it will display 30. But 3, it has only one record, so it shows the same sum. 4, 20. So if sum is the aggregation, this is the answer. This is the output. At least is it clear? Any question in this output? Let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone, can you please give confirmation? Is it clear or any questions? Okay, at least if count is the aggregation, what is the output? If count is the aggregation, 1, it counts the records 1, 2, 3. So 1, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 4, 1. Anyone can tell me if the maximum is the aggregation, what may be the output? it will show maximum value, right? So 1, 30, 2, 20, 3, 10, 4, 20. Okay. Minimum is aggregation, same way it display minimum value. Now let me show you another thing. Employee number, item, amount. For example, employee 1, item 1, amount, employee 1, another item 20 INR, employee 1, item 1, 15 INR, employee number 1, item 2, 10 INR, item 2, 20 INR, 3, 30 INR. For example, this is the situation. Now imagine this is the amount is the quantifiable field. But by then what may be the output by considering sum is the aggregation? Anyone can try. Consider amount is the aggregation here, amount is the measure here, and sum is the aggregation. What is the output? So
1145, 1230, 1330, 1410.
very good, correct. Because whatever fields left side to this is considered as a composite primary key. So 1 is the duplicate record, so it will display unique record, and it will find the sum of these 10 plus 20, 30, 45. Similarly, 1, 2, it will consider as only one record and find the sum of these two records, that is 30. And 1, 3, 30 INR. And 1, 4, 10 INR. So this is the output. If count is the aggregation, 1, 1, because 3 records, 3, 1, 2, 2, 1, 3, 1, 1, 4, 1. If maximum is the aggregation, 1, 1, 20, 1, 2, 20, 1, 3, 30, 1, 4, 10. Same way minimum. Let me show you on the system now. Same thing. First, let me identify some table. Okay. What I will do, I'm going to create analytical view, or first let me create attribute view, because I want to show you what happens if I use same thing in attribute view, then analytical view, because I want to compare. So I'm taking attribute view first. Here, AB attribute 1 to measure. I'm just taking level and marks. Why? Because if you look at this table data, here level marks, I'm going to show only both the records. So this is the measure field. So left side is considered as composite primary key. And actually in analytical view, it should show A, and if sum is the aggregation finding sum B, like that it should show. But attribute view, do you think it will show like that? Let us see now. I selected only level and marks, but here it is the attribute, it is measure, it considered both as a dimension, because attribute views are used to model the master data. It considered, even you take measure, it considered like a dimension only, attribute only, because that is what the attribute is. Even you consider a measure, even 1 second. Yes, something is not working. I'm closing and maybe I will try to open again. I don't know. I'm just going to the task manager and I'm ending. Maybe some virus or something, we don't. And I will re-log in, okay? Even it's not ending, huh? Okay, let me log in. Our package is Oasis 1700 P1. I think this is the attribute used. See, it show A 10 20 20, correct? But now let me create analytical view on the same thing. I'm using the same table in analytical view now, and I'm using the same columns level and marks. But if you look at the difference here and here, you see type is not defaulted, auto assigned. See measure, and the default is sum, as sum is the default measure. Now you look at the output. See, now it shows one. If you see, this is the attribute view output. A 10 20 20 means 40, B 10, C is this one. But if you look at A, it does the sum, B does the sum, C does the sum. Is it clear, everyone? the difference between analytical view and attribute view and how aggregations are performed. Any questions? Let me put count is the aggregation. Right click and data preview. See, it does the count. Maximum is the aggregation. See, maximum value. Same thing, okay? I just want to check, okay? Actually, most of the people are not attending and they are following videos. I see very less number of people are attending. No, from tomorrow we have the same time, 7 to 8 only. But I'm thinking, in case if some days, if I keep 7:30 to 8:30, is it fine for you or any issue? I'm just checking only, okay? 7:30, is it fine for you?
We'll face the difficulty to go to the office, sir.
Okay. Okay, because I see most of the people are not attending, they are following videos.
Yeah,
I'm confirming. Okay. Yeah.
this is
Anyway,
my view only because I need to drop my son to school. Not sure on
uh,
others.
yeah, got it. Anyway, I think for you, after modeling, migration, new open, once done, I think your turn is completed, right?
Yes.
Already. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anyway, let's continue. Tomorrow we have the class. Yeah, same time, 7 to 8 only. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice